Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to show quite a charming tarot deck. And this is a Tarot De Marseille deck that was published in 2015, a few years ago. And this is a recreation of the Tarot De Marseille by Pierre Madenie. And Mary Packard wrote the guidebook for this deck. Here is the box, and it's quite a thick, deep box. It has a magnetic clasp on the side, so you open it up so you can put the deck and the book inside. On the back of the box here it shows that there is the cards and the book and a satin or silk type of cloth that comes with the set as well. This is a recreation of this deck. It was recreated or illustrated by Rachel Clowes, or Rachel Clowes. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that name, but this is the same team who created the Golden Tarot, which is a recreation of the Visconti Sforza. So this is a recreation of the Pierre Madenie Tarot De Marseille. So here is the box, and here is the book, the guidebook. I'll get this as well in a moment. Here is the book. I think the book's quite well written by Mary Packard. If you can see here on the covering page here, it says cards illustrated by Rachel Clowes. And there is a foreword in here by Robert M. Place. I think it's a really good book for people who want to know something, who are absolute beginners possibly with the Tarot De Marseille. There is the history in here, and it's quite a detailed and interesting history. And there's information for the trumps and the minor suits. There's even a little bit on Kabbalah in here as well, but a very small amount. The Marseille Tarot by Pierre Madenie dates back to 1709. It's one of the earliest. I wanted this deck a few years ago because the recreation is really quite charming. I really like the colouring and the redrawing of the cards. I think it's just quite well done. There's only a couple of pages here at the end of the history about Kabbalah, so it has the Tree of Life here. There's just the diagram and some information on this side. But I think the strong point about the book is the history. It goes, the history chapter is called The Royal Road, and it talks about, before that as well, it talks about the very first cards, which were the Visconti Sforza, and then going into the very first French decks. So there's some spreads at the back of the book as well. Now this seems to be out of print at the moment. There is a French version that still seems to be available, which can be okay for the cards, but unless you can read French, the guidebook will not be as useful for you. I'm not sure if this will be coming back into print or not, whether it's coming back. There's just some very brief meanings for the minor arcana, for the suits, or the pip cards, because these are plain pips. There's more information for the meanings for the major arcana and for the court cards. and that's a hardback small book. So there's the book. So now I'm going to show some cards in a moment. Here is the box that comes inside, and here is the solar twins of the sun card, and of course you get up the top you've got the Roman numerals and you have the French title at the bottom. I just think this version is really charming, the way it's been drawn and coloured. So that's the card box that's inside the larger box. And now to show some cards. Now these are rather tall cards, so I think this makes a good study deck rather than a deck for divination, because the cards really are quite tall. So here is the back of the cards. I really like the design on the back as well. And the cardstock is quite good. It's quite durable. There is a kind of semi-matte finish on here. So here is the foil. So you've got the traditional face of the fool on here, on this card, but I just think there's this extra charm in the recreation of the cards. That's the fool. Magician. And I am saying the English titles because I don't speak French. And this is probably my favourite image of the Madenie version of the Marseille. I really like this image. The Emperor. I like this one too, and I don't like many Emperor images, but I do like this one. This Emperor looks very resolute. The Lovers. Justice. Numbered 8, of course, because it is a Marseille deck. The original numbering. Wheel of Fortune. What I like about this deck as well, not only the colours, but there's a flow of the lines. I think the lines flow really well, which is not an easy thing to always find with a Marseille deck. A Marseille deck normally looks a bit geometrical, but this deck, the lines flow. The Wheel of Fortune. Hanged Man. I really use this deck for more of a study deck. And the Unnamed Death card. You have the number 13 at the top. Really like this Temperance card. I just love the colouring for this one, the red and the blue. Tower. The moon. And the colouring is a bit different with this card too. It's different. You normally see a lot more blue in the moon card, but this one has got some green, yellow, red, but it's still quite beautifully drawn. It's the moon. And another one of my favourites, the sun. I love the face on the sun. And Judgment. And Judgment, traditionally, the traditional image here is not one of my favourite images, but I like this one. I just think that one's been done in a charming way as well. So I'm just going to show a few of the pips or the minor arcana. There is Ace of Wands or Baston in this deck. Two, Baston. So you've got the Roman numerals again on the side of the cards, which you usually do with a Marseille. Two of Baston. And the Queen Baston. Now for cups, Ace of Cups. I like the use of grey in here too. It looks quite good with the yellowish gold and red, and you have grey here. Ace of Cups, Three of Cups. And the Cavalier, which is the Knight of Cups. Now for swords, Ace of Swords. So you've got the use of the grey in here again with the red and the pale, well, it's a goldish, it's like a pale gold. So I really like the colour blend. Ace of Swords. Three of Swords. Valet of Swords, which is the page. And the Cavalier of Swords. Now for coins, Ace of Coins, Two of Coins, and this is quite a traditional kind of image for the Two of Coins. In a Marseille deck, it normally does have the name Pierre Madenie here and the date 1709. Two of Coins. And the Queen of Coins, or Denier coins. I quite like this card. She looks like, this Queen looks a little bit like Queen Victoria. So I really like this card. Very regal. So there's some of the cards from the Tarot De Marseille with the book written by Mary Packard. And as I was saying, the book is quite interesting. It's really interesting for someone who wants to learn or know more about the Marseille decks and the history. I think this is more interesting from a historical point of view, and that's probably what I mean when I'm saying that I think of this as a study deck from a historical perspective, and also the images themselves. I think of it more as a type of study deck. And I think of this also, this deck, it's a tribute deck. It's recreation, it's a recreation of the deck. It's a tribute deck. And I think for people who are interested in a recreation deck and the history, it's worth trying to get if you can. I think it is quite a charming deck. So I'll put some details below the video, and some people may be interested in getting the French version of the cards, and if they can read French, then that would be useful with the book. So I'll put some details below the video. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.